Good evening. Hello. This is Editing Krista. I was jumping in here to let you guys know that in this episode, I talk with Chris and I am giving him his numerology reading. This is something that I am now offering to the public, which is full numerology readings. The link to book an appointment with me to my Calendly will be in the description below. You can go ahead and click it and book a numerology reading with me. For private numerology readings that will not be going up on my YouTube, that are just between you and me, you can go ahead and do that now. And if you would like to have your numerology read for public and you're willing to let me put it up on YouTube, send me a message and we will take a look at that. And of course, for those that are going to be going up publicly, it's going to be no charge. I'm going to be limiting the number of them that I'm doing that way. However, it's not going to be very many. So send me a message if you are interested in that, or if you'd like to book a private one-on-one numerology reading just for yourself. Go ahead, click the link below and get that booked in my calendar. Love you so much, and I hope you enjoy. So this is your preview of what a numerology reading looks like. This is one of a few previews that I'm going to be putting up, and you get to meet my friend Chris as well. Enjoy. What do you know about numerologies already?
The only thing I've heard is that what I've found is that I'm a 6 is what I know. I
There's,
don't
yeah, that's your birth path number or life path
that's
number. Yeah.
that's about the extent of what I remember from it. It was a while ago when I first started hearing about numerology. So I know that I'm a 6 and my wife is a 7. And we've
Okay.
been told we've been told numerology wise that we don't get along kind of thing, but we've been together for 15 years. So it's just interesting.
Well, everybody's got more than one number going on in their chart. 6s and 7s have a tendency to not get along very well and butt heads, but nobody's just one number. We all have a mixture. And
Oh,
so
okay.
there may be other things going on in your chart that do well to bring you together.
I'm looking forward to learning about that.
Yeah. So I started learning numerology back in 2000, fall of 2010. I went to an event and there's a gentleman teaching some about numerology there. And it was like an interesting, eclectic mixture event. It was called like a hidden gems event. So the lady who was running it brought in a whole bunch of different speakers on various topics, and everybody had an hour to present. And there was somebody talking about how to make cheese from sheep milk, and there was a guy talking about acupuncture, and a numerology guy, and one lady who led us all in like a 1 hour Bollywood dance class. It was really fun. It was like quite a mixture. But as the gentleman who later on became my mentor in numerology, as he was teaching, he was teaching on the life phases that we're gonna go through. I'll talk about it more later. But he was teaching on the life phases and on how when we go through our first changeover in our life phase numbers, it tends to be a time of serious change in our lives. Some people get divorced at that time, some people get married at that time, some people change careers, some people move across the country, some people just have like a more internal change where it's more of their relationship with themselves and how they think about life. And some people have like all of the above all at once. And that tends to happen somewhere between the age of 25 and 35. And it's a little different depending on the person, on how that comes up. Yours was at age 30, by the way, 30 to 31.
That is interesting. That actually makes a lot of sense. Funny story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big time of a lot of upheaval in my life. I think I was in between jobs. If I remember right, my grandpa got, yeah, that was actually, um, my grandpa got cancer. Um, they got in a big car accident. I went into a different job career path at that point. I had a lot going on. So that's funny you say that.
Yeah. Happens to everybody. And I love that. It's so cool because we can like see when it's going to happen.
I like that.
Numbers, it comes up. And we actually go through three of these transitions in our lives. And the first one is always the most difficult, though, because it's the first time it's happened to us. And it's the hardest to navigate. The later ones end up easier because it's like, oh, I've been through something like this before. I know how to handle it. So what struck my curiosity when my mentor was teaching that is I was looking back and it was just the year before, and it was exactly when I decided to leave my first husband. I
Oh, wow.
was like, oh, I changed my marriage. All right. In fact, at that time, I changed pretty much everything in my life except my job. I moved, left my husband, left my ex, ended up changing a lot about my belief system. And yeah, everything except my job changed at that time in my life.
That's a little turbulent times there.
Yeah, so I was looking at that, I was like, wow, okay, there's something to this. I need to learn more. And so I got his email address, and at the time he wasn't like teaching anyone formally, and he didn't have any books published on it or anything. He just learned it, so he was just teaching for fun. So I got him to teach me over email, back and forth over email back
Oh,
then.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I went on like a numerology book reading rampage. I read every book I could find on the subject in like over the course of about a year, and refined it.
Got yourself some immersion in there. I like
Got
that.
myself some immersion. Yeah. All right. So I know a little bit about you because you already said you're a 6, which I already knew anyway. but, but I do know a little bit about you because we both we met up with each other, I believe, through Tony Robbins groups, if I remember
That's
correctly.
where I saw you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah. So I know you probably have a little bit of an entrepreneurial bent to you, and also a drive for learning and personal growth.
You know me
As
well.
pretty much anybody into Tony Robbins is into those things. So
It's, that's been the consistent thing in my life that I've, especially in the last year, I've dived into. I've gone through some turbulent stuff in the last year, but
Mhm.
my astrologer last year, I was dying because she goes, you need to be in a place where you learn and grow constantly. Like if you're not in a place with that, you're gonna have a lot of upset. You're not gonna be very happy as a person.
Mhm.
So you need to find what you like to learn and grow and do and chase that, follow it. It's gonna lead you places that you need to be, which is why you and I are talking today. Funny story.
Yeah.
So
Piqued your curiosity. I was like, ooh, I want to learn that.
definitely, yeah. I
Yeah.
share your philosophy when you said like you read a lot of numerology books. That's exactly what
Yeah.
happened to me after I did my astrology reading last year, and my astrologer, she was like, "You really need to be an astrologer. Your chart is set up that way." And I thought she was joking about it. Funny story. And I dove into tarot cards just for a kick one week, and I was going, "Whoa, these are like really real." Like I had no
Mhm.
idea this like could tell my path of where I'm at and what I should look out for. And just like you said, you got immersed in it. I bought books and bought decks. And funny story, it's a passion of mine now.
Yeah.
So. But,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. I I'm not as into tarot, but I do have a deck which I use every once in a while. I really like oracle cards though.
Those are fun. I
Yeah.
like those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we get into your chart?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm
All
excited.
right. So I've got it all written out here on my notebook.
Nice.
There's you. So you are actually, as 6 is your birth path, so you already know that. We might as well start there. So your life path or birth path number, same thing, is the number that your birth date adds up to. It's a month, day, and year.
Okay.
Yeah. And that represents kind of like the path you chose to be on in this life. Yeah.
Interesting.
And your birth path number coming from your birth date is also the only part of your chart, and your life phases, because those also come from your birth date. But that and your life phases are the only part of your chart that you can't change because you can't change what day you were born.
That makes sense.
Yeah. However, the rest of it, you can actually have some control and change things if you want by changing your name.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there is an interesting thing that I noticed. I was curious and I was considering changing my name at one point because of this, and then I decided not to. But if you get the name change forms from the government, I was in Canada at the time, so I'm from Canada originally.
Oh,
And
cool.
and the name change forms from the government that you'd fill out to do a legal name change, numerology is one of the check boxes you can check off as a reason, as a legitimate reason why you want to change your name.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, I think it's also why the he's gone now, but the artist formerly known as Prince, I think that's part of the reason why he went through so many name changes. It's because he kept wanting to change his numerology chart. I think it's part of it.
That's awesome. I love Prince.
Yeah, he was pretty great. I was never a huge fan of his music, but I bet if I listened to it now, I would be. In my teens, at about that time frame when he was popular and around and getting really popular, I was extremely Christian. So much so that I refused to listen to any music that was not Christian.
Hey, I've come to appreciate Prince a little bit more in my later years. I was like on and off kind of about it when I was a kid, and
Yeah,
then like when I hear his songs now, I don't know why, but it gets to like just in a happy place. So
that's
I have an
awesome.
I have an appreciation for him now. So yeah,
Oh, and there's a lot of people who become famous after they change their name.
that's
You
fascinating to me.
notice that?
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Occasionally, this is not the case with you because I don't see a problem with your name that would cause me to say you should change it. But occasionally there's somebody whose chart that I do that I go ahead and read through, and then I'm like, okay, your name, for some people, their name and their birth path number are so completely opposite energies. I'm like, okay, this is going to create an issue for you moving forward. So occasionally there's someone I'll be like, we should actually change your name.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we don't have to. I do like my name. My last name not so much, but my first name I like.
Yeah, your name matches you pretty well. So your destiny number comes from your name, and that's comes from adding up the number value of each of every letter of your name. And that those number values go in order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. Your destiny number is a 33, which is a master number. And it's also the master number version of the number 6.
Oh, like if you add those two together?
Yeah, it's 3 + 3 is 6.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I want to kind of
Yeah.
give you the meaning of these two together because they're very similar, 6 and 33.
Okay.
So your name jives with your birthday very well. Your so 6s and 33s both are very caring people. These are the people who will absolutely give you the shirt off your back if you need it. They
That
have,
is definitely me.
yeah, they have a drive to take care of other people. They're very responsible. They have a strong sense of duty to others and caring for others.
I'm
Yeah.
just taking notes in case you're wondering.
Oh, no, that's perfectly fine. You'll also get a copy of the video, by the way, when I put it up, so you can go back and watch it again if you want.
Oh, thanks. I
Yeah.
feel better about that.
So these very caring 6s are also tend to be traditional. 6 tends to want to preserve the wisdom of the past and pass it on to the next generation. So there is a lot of tendency towards them to be like a teacher, coach, healer, somebody who's helping other people in their daily lives, and also someone who's passing on wisdom.
Well, that it's funny you should say that because I've been trying to get my life coaching business going, um and that healer side, teacher side, that's why I've been leaning into my tarot and oracle that I've gotten very good at the last year, because that's been another resource I can help people with.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
The 33 adds some extra 3 energy, which is very creative. So you need to let your creativity flow a little bit more, I think. That's just my hunch.
You're not wrong. My wife's been on me about that the last month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've I have like a laser wood machine, and I like to do projects and whatnot. And she's like, you need to go back to your full creative self, like just letting those projects happen and just learning how to do them. Just not being timid to work around those things. Just go for it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I just had an idea, and that is, what if you combine the two, and for your coaching clients, you as you're dealing with them and talking with them, you could come up with some kind of symbol or image that represents them and make it for them and send it to them.
That's a very good idea. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that I was thinking about that with all my tarot work I've been doing this week. I've been taking a seminar on tarot and getting all these different perspectives from people that have been doing it way longer than me, like 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking a lot about symbolism. And that's something I haven't fully dived into the tarot with because there's a lot involved with that. But the symbolism I've been working on this week, and it's very powerful when you find the right symbols that connect.
Mm-hmm.
It's it kind of like it like engages with you somehow. I don't have a good way to say it, but it just
Yeah.
engages with your personality and your mindset.
It
I
also kind of like bypasses your conscious mind and talks right to like your subconscious.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
that one.
All right. That is your destiny number and your birth path number. And now, do you want to know some of the weaknesses with the number 6?
I would love to.
All right. These are mine too, because this is also my birth path number. We're
What?
similar in this way. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, us 6s, some of our weaknesses is sometimes we take on too much of other people's problems. And sometimes we try to fix other people too much. It can be a little bit of a codependency tendency. Whereas sometimes it's better for us to step back and make them step into their own power and fix it themselves. You might not have as much of that as I do. I've got a lot of that.
You know, that's actually been something that has, it's funny you bring that up because that has been something that's caused problems for me in the past.
Mm.
Especially like in my mortgage career I cared so much about people. I didn't, in my industry, there was a lot of salespeople that just wanted commission checks and they would just, you know, get a loan to close whatever way they could. And it was never really about like doing the right thing for people necessarily. It was just, oh, get them a mortgage and who cares. But I always saw a lot of people that got into financial challenges or I dealt with a myriad of stuff, people going through divorce and you know, losing kids or having serious medical problems and stuff like that. And it all affected everything they were trying to do. So I got in the habit sometimes because I figured out how to fix certain things. Like I would help them with those other aspects of things. But like you said, that sometimes crossed a boundary a few times. And I learned like, okay, maybe they don't want all that help, or they know they want it, they just don't want to deal with it right in this moment kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something I've had to learn to back away sometimes, be like, okay, man, you're being overbearing. Just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
It's good for us sixes to sometimes, not all the time, depends on the situation, but sometimes we need to learn to wait for other people to ask for help before we offer it.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Another thing we have a weakness of is worry and stress over other people's lives. Sometimes to the point where it can cause problems. I was as a 13-year-old, I managed to worry myself into a stomach ulcer at 13 years old.
Man, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely have had that issue in my life before, and that particular has been one that I learned very hard in the last year to just
Mhm.
try to let go as much as I can, or I just have to know I have to know when to walk away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read the book Courage to be Disliked at all, but when you like worry
That
and
one.
stress over other people's lives kind of thing, and it happens if you're in a close-knit family or, you know, friendships, relationships, whatever it is. But the moral of the story with that book, it teaches us is like it's other people's tasks to take care of, and when we cross that line, it's like taking their task away, and
Mhm.
that's what can cause a lot of that strife. So
Yeah.
um, that's funny that you brought that up. It reminded me of the Courage to be Disliked.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like a good book.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a radical perspective on psychology, but it's got a lot of points that you're touching on with me today. It
Yeah.
talks a lot about those.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. The last aspect of a weakness for number 6 that I want to bring up is the tendency to not stand up for ourselves. Sometimes we sometimes let other people walk all over us and take too much responsibility and take too much work on ourselves when we should be standing up for ourselves, taking some more time for ourselves, not working quite so hard.
Wow, you're just bringing out the heavy hitters with me. Yeah, that one caused a lot of problems in my life last year in particular.
Mm,
Um, and I learned that you know, you have to stand up for yourself in life, and it's usually it's not received well sometimes when you
mhm.
set boundaries, but you have to at some point you have to take care of yourself first before you can help others and serve others.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I had family stuff that happened last year where they were trying to make decisions for myself and my wife, and telling us what to do, how to do it, when to do it, kind of thing, and that got very explosive, kind of thing. Um, but now, but I mean, I've learned a lot from that, and I just think it's cool you're bringing that up because it's something that I think we all get kind of taught to like follow the system, if you will, with everything in life, and we don't always think about, is that right for us or not? Is that helping us? Is it hurting us? And for you bringing that up, I will say that one right there in particular hurt me a lot in life. It's taken a lot of work for me to fix that side of things, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
But it's something to be very mindful of for me personally. It's like not letting other people come in my world and like tell me what to do and how to do it, because we all have a different path, all of us do.
Yeah.
And we have to respect that about each other. So
Yeah. All right. So that's both your destiny number and your birth path, 33 and 6. 33 brings in more of your creativity side, and 6 is more of your caring, nurturing, wanting to help everybody and pass on wisdom side.
you know me too well.
Yeah. We've only gone through 2 numbers so far. We've got a whole lot more to go.
I'm intrigued right now. I had no idea numerology went into this.
Numerology is, I love it because as a coach, and you're gonna get this as we go more through this, if you can do someone's numerology chart before you meet with them as a new client, you have such a level of insight into what's going on with them already before you even start talking to them, that it'll give you a big advantage.
That is a great tip of advice.
Yeah.
I can see how this would make you be like better be able to help people and
Mhm.
better to like better understand them and
Yeah.
what their perspectives may be like. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just very intrigued right now.
All right. Your heart's desire number is a 13. Heart's desire number comes from just the vowels in your name. And some numerologists call it a soul's urge. So it's adding up the numbers of just the vowels in your name is how we get to it. And there are some numbers that we leave double digits, as you've noticed. 33 is one of them. 13 is another one. Not all numerologists will leave 13 as a double digit. Most actually will add them together and read it as a 4. However, I believe it should be left as a double digit. So I do.
I like that.
It's one of the little differences in my system. So 13 it's similar to the number 4 in that it's very hardworking. It's very driven to understand processes and step-by-step procedure and how to get things done. However, 13 adds a huge side. That's basically your basic number 4. Is your methodical, get things done, nose to the grindstone kind of person. However, 13 is more mystical, more interested in spirituality, more interested in how to get things done when it comes to personal growth than like fixing the car or or accounting, which are both 2 typical 4 activities. Whereas 13 is more interested in the spiritual, esoteric side and the personal growth side.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say you're right to leave that as a 13
Yeah.
because accounting is just, I don't like accounting.
Yeah, no, me either. So 13 is also, I'll call it the number of personal transformation. Someone with a heart's desire of 13 has a desire to continually grow, which your astrologer already told you about.
I like that it's confirmed.
Yep, it is confirmed. So, with a heart's desire 13, you're going to go through like waves in your life of personal transformation and growth where you're someone who is not going to be able to stay in one field for your entire life. You're going to be like constantly needing to add more, to grow more, to incorporate more things in your work. So you're going to need some kind of career like life coaching that can be flexible.
I'm dying laughing right now because when I got out of college, I worked in used car finance for a short minute. Then I went to insurance sales. Then I went into mortgage for 8 years, but I got bored with that. Um, and then, now I'm pursuing life coaching, which has been a dream for 3 years. And so I'm finally like starting to take that path. And then I've just been really big into, esoterics, astrology and tarot and oracle. It's just this. I love that you said it's like a constant wave of growth and change. Like I crave that because when I like kind of tap out on knowing what I can take from something, I just get bored with it really easy. And I'm like, okay, what's the next thing I can go do?
Yeah.
But I've stuck with tarot and astrology for a while because it's never the same for
Mhm.
anybody. It's never the same. It's always changing and evolving. So
Mhm.
um, that's why I've gotten kind of glued into it is there's just so much you can learn and it never stops.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those deep subjects.
Yes.
Mhm. So 13 also, one additional meaning of a number 13 is, and this is also why some people think 13 is unlucky. And that is because it's a number of what we would call creative destruction.
Oh man.
Is like if anybody is going to like decide to burn the boats or like take a sledgehammer to something in their life to destroy it in order to create something new out of that destruction, is going to be somebody who either has a strong 13 in their numerology chart or is in a 13 time phase in their life.
That's so funny. Man. Um, wow. I'm a little I'm a little taken away by that because that's what I did last year. Funny story. My life was not working and I was like, it's time to blow stuff up. And I've always given this analogy to people. I always get looked at funny for it. Now I know why. But I've always said, like, so many times in life, we try to, I'm trying to think of a much nicer way to say this, but there's a time that we keep trying to fix something. It's like a leaky car hose in the radiator. You can put so much duct tape on it, so much sealant, and at a certain point, it's gonna blow. It's got to be replaced. Like
Yeah.
it's just got to be done. So I've always told people, like, don't be scared to burn a bridge if you have to. Don't be scared to destroy something in your life if you have to. If it's holding you back or causing you more pain than it's giving you pleasure out of,
Mhm.
it's time for you to let go. It's time for you to
Yeah.
destroy it.
Yeah.
And that destruction is not meant to be negative and demeaning and terrible and all those things. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to say that that's no longer a part of your life. It's time for you to
Mhm.
grow that new thing. And to not be scared of that, by the way, but to lean into it and say, "This is my creation, my rebirth." Kind of like the planet Pluto. Pluto is known for being the destructive force that comes swinging in and wipes your life out. And then you go, "Oh my God, it took away everything." Well, no, it didn't take away everything. It cleared the path for you to rebirth and to create a new
Since you know
side.
tarot, in the major arcana, which card is number 13?
Oh, Is that oh my God. Is that the tower card?
Nope.
Oh my God. I haven't actually counted the numbers in the major arcana. I'm
It,
like
it's
really
the death
curious.
card.
That's the death card.
It's the death card.
I'm pulling my book out right now. Oh my God. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Krista.
You're welcome.
Wow, that's like the one card of the tarot I'm scared of. That's so I never realized that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
13 is only unlucky for someone who is really attached to the thing that's supposed to get destroyed. Yeah. That's when it becomes unlucky, as if someone is holding on too tight to the past.
I have been guilty of that in my life earlier on in my 20s, and nothing but turbulence came from that.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's funny you say that too. My in-laws live in the past constantly. Like they just don't
Mm-hmm.
they're not people that think forward or think present. They live in the past of what was kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates a lot of conflict and a lot of just a lot of drama and a lot of just it's just not it's not healthy. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
like when I lost my job last year, I part of me like got upset for about 5 minutes and I said, I was never really happy with this the last couple of years. Why am I so upset by this? Like, and then it was kind of funny in 5 minutes.
Like,
I was
wait, I
like,
wasn't happy in that anyway. Why am I mourning it?
exactly. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
for like 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes, I was like, oh, that's closed. Next. And it just felt liberating not to attach yourself to that. It was so liberating to be like, is this going to be scary? Yes. Is it going to be uncertain? Oh, absolutely. But this thing that was actually weighing me down and holding me back is no longer in the picture. It's gone. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm free to create. I'm free to make.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's yeah, like you said, if you're attaching to those things that need to be destroyed, it's actually doing more damage to you
Yeah.
than good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Your personality number, which comes from the consonants in your name, is an 11. There's another master number.
I see 1111 quite a bit.
Yeah. So the personality number represents kind of like the first impression people tend to have of you before they get to know you. It's also kind of like it is a part of you, but it's kind of like your outer shell and how you tend to portray yourself when you're around people you don't know very well. It's kind of like the you want to be your first impression. And with 11, that is actually really, oh, 11 is interesting. 11 is very multifaceted. It's highly intuitive, can be very emotional. Um, However, I don't think you're likely to come across with that particular facet. You're not super emotional, but you have
That's
a
the drawback.
you
Yeah,
have a deep amount of feeling, but you tend to hold it inside. Yeah,
that's definitely
yeah.
me.
11, however, and the aspect I think is going to come out with you more likely, can be extremely intelligent. So I think you probably tend to lead with your intelligence when you're around people you don't know very well.
Yeah, that's my that's one I've learned as a double-edged sword in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
I have to be I have to be careful around some people because it's uncomfortable for me to be this open, but I'm gonna be since you'd offered this to me. Like some people get really turned off by my intelligence. They like some people take it as a threat of some kind, and I do not understand why because I like to use that as a way to help people. Kind of like how if you're in the Tony Robbins world, one of Tony's biggest things he talks about is proximity is power. Like if people have the knowledge and results that you want, surround yourself with those people and you'll get the results you want minus the time. Um, and so you've been in Tony's world, so you know all about that. That for people that aren't, it can be very like intimidating, in a sense. And I do lead with my intelligence. I just try to like tone it down and adjust it sometimes when I'm in front of people.
Yeah.
Because it does give this like sometimes people are like, oh my God, they kind of like I watch the body language like push back and I'm like, I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than you or this or that. I'm offering this to you. I'm giving this to you. That's just who I am. Um,
I can
that's
explain that a
funny you
little
said that.
bit. And that is
Oh,
that
please do.
11 energy gets attention whether it wants it or not. Meaning you're not someone who's going to be easily able to blend into a crowd. You're going to stand out and you're going to get attention from people. And sometimes in negative ways, because 11 energy is kind of like electric, and people respond in a couple different ways to it. Either it inspires them and attracts them towards you, or in some cases, with some people, they're going to get jealous of your energy, because that 11 energy it's like star power. It's like it just draws people to you. And some people are going to get jealous
Interesting.
of that.
That's so funny that you say that because I always think the opposite. I always have this like I don't know, I like my brain is always like I want to share this with
Yeah.
other people. I get very like turned off by people that like either like think too highly of themselves or think their intellect or intuition or
That's
whatever is
because
like
you're also a
somehow
6.
that I just I always want this like it's why I love the Tony community. Like
Yeah.
nobody the best way I can phrase it is like nobody thinks they're better than one another. We all see ourselves as part of this collective experience of the world. And
Mm-hmm.
there's always something we can learn, share, and grow from other people and other experiences. So there is not that hierarchy of energy. It's very much
Yeah.
like we're in this together. We're rowing the boat together.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
when I do get that vibe from people, I'm like, really, man, I'm just trying to help out.
However, if I can give you a tip for building your um, life coaching business, if you allow your intelligence, and that's that sparkle that you have in you, because 11 really is kind of like a sparkly energy. If you allow that to come out more in your marketing, you will attract a lot more clients. However, simultaneously, you will also attract more haters. So
Oh
it's a
man.
double-edged sword. So there's like a little bit of inner work you might have to do to be okay with a lot of people not liking you. And go back to reading that same book about being okay with the people not liking you.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm working on right now. Funny story as a person, because um again I like am not comfortable super sharing my life or my inner workings. But last
Mhm.
year, like with my last job I had, I got constant hate from people, and I didn't know what the heck it was from because I was like I lead with helping people, I lead with understanding and compassion, and I lead with empathy, I lead with doing the right thing.
Mhm.
And it was just it got to a point where I just like mentally couldn't handle it. I was like, I need people to stop taking a crap on me, please. I'm trying to help you. Like like I'm not your enemy, I'm your friend.
Yeah,
I'm here to climb the mountain with you. If
yeah,
you fall in a crevasse, I'm going in with you, just so you know. Like
yeah. There's some emotional strength that you're gonna need to develop within yourself, because unfortunately, especially if you want to get into really making your life coaching business work, which takes being more public um, and more out there, there's an emotional strength that you're going to need to develop to be okay with that, because it's not going to stop. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head of what I'm working on right now, and it's
Mhm.
not, I will share, it is not easy. It is not fun to try to work through that. It's a
Yeah.
lot of, it's a very dig in the depths of your soul kind of thing.
Mhm.
And like you said, finding ways to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny you say these things because I'm trying to remember what you said earlier in our reading here, but it's like, yeah, that's probably a lot for this video. I know you're recording things, so it's just everything's like aligning right now. My head's just kind of, it's a lot to take in, but
Yeah, it is.
in a good way.
That's why I'm glad you'll have it on video. You'll
Yeah,
be able to go back.
I'll follow up with you on that
Yeah.
one.
All right. Next, we're gonna go to your day of birth number. And the day of birth number is just your birthday. You were born on the 25th of the month, so it makes it a 7 because 2 + 5 is 7.
My other lucky number.
Which is interesting. Our birthdays are only 2 days apart, by the way. November
Well,
23rd is me.
yes. I was wondering why we got along. You're another Sagittarius.
Yep.
I love it. Ah, welcome to the Sag Fest. I love it. Uh,
All right. So, day of birth number in my system of numerology is kind of like another tool you have in your toolkit that you can pull out and use when you need it. It's not really like a core central part of who you are. It's or like an ability that you have that you can use when you need to.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
This is different in different systems because if you go to, I believe it's Indian numerology from India, they actually base almost everything off of your day of birth number.
interesting.
Yeah. But yours is a 7. And 7 is all about, it's going to relate very much to your 13 hearts desire number. 7 is really a drive to learn and understand. People with a lot of 7 in their charts are almost always surrounded by books. We like books.
I have a lot. I read 40 books last year, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. um, I'll mention this for because you don't have a 16 in your chart, but the higher version of the number 7, the more intense version is 16, which is one that I leave as a double digit. People who are 16s, unless they're resisting it, and some of them do, but unless they're resisting it, they're usually like way like, for example, I probably have about 500 books. I visited one guy's house and I did his numerology chart beforehand, and he was a 16 in, I don't remember if it was his name or his birth path number, but it's one of the two. The total was a 16. Go into his house. He has a 5,000 volume library
What?
that he has topically indexed in his computer. So he can search by topic and it will tell him exactly which book and which page numbers in that book
Oh my
to go
God.
to.
Wow, that's taken that to a whole new level. Wow.
It's just like whoosh.
I'm impressed.
I was like, okay, I
5,000
have a
books.
lot of books and I read them, but I do not have them topically indexed in my computer. That's incredible.
And you said that's by the people that have a 16 in their
Yeah,
numerology?
yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Uh, so that 7 is a drive to understand and to figure out why, and not just surface level, but deep down, like what is the root cause?
Yeah, that
Mhm.
I have a lot of parts of my life that I just I find myself always being like, why does this happen? Like, why, like, what's driving this to happen? Like,
Yeah.
or like when I come across people that I find extremely fascinating, which happens, I love studying people. It's like, it
Mhm.
fascinates the crap out of me. But I like, I
Yeah.
always sit there, I'm like, okay, what caused this person to get this belief system? Like, where did this originate from? And I'm like, I'm always fascinated by like thought processes. So a lot of like my
Hmm.
wife, for example, won't care as much as I do about those things, but like I'll always be fascinated, like, what makes this person tick? Like what drives this, or what belief built this, or like what situation made this happen? Like I always like to know, kind
Hmm.
of thing. I just find it fascinating.
Yeah. All right. Your challenge number from your name, and this comes from just counting up how many letters are in your name. It's just the total of how many letters are in your name. Yours is a 3, because I believe you have 12 letters in your name, if I counted correctly. Or more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just make sure I counted right. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 letters in your name. Yeah, so it's a 3.
Is it your like your full name, your first,
Full
middle, and
name,
last
yeah.
name?
First, middle, and
Full name.
last. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got to be the full legal name at birth. What did your mom
Okay.
call you?
Yeah. I was
Uh,
wondering why you asked me. Anytime somebody calls me Christopher, we know there's trouble in the ballpark.
I think that's part of why parents do that. When a kid's in trouble, you call them by their full entire name. In some ways, I believe that it also has an energy effect to bring them back into line with what their numerology chart is. It's like, okay, this person's misbehaving. I'm going to use their entire name, and it has an effect energetically to draw them back into the energy that they were supposed to be embodying.
I think you may be right about
Yeah.
that. So my challenge number is a 3. So
Challenge number
3.
3. So the challenge number from your name, and everybody has several challenge numbers in their chart. Most of them are only in effect for certain time frames, but the challenge number from your name is a whole life thing. And challenges are meant to be overcome. These are not meant to just cause you trouble, although they have a tendency to be difficult in our younger years. And as we grow, we mature, we learn how to handle it, we get good at it, and it becomes a strength in our later years. So 3 challenge is going to be a challenge around joy and creativity and laughter and fun. And when that comes out as an area of difficulty, we have difficulty being happy and difficulty expressing our creativity and joy. And that can bring up, in our younger years, it can bring up depression, bring up a lot of sadness, until we learn how to integrate that joy and creativity. And if we can do that on purpose to bring more joy and creativity into our lives consciously, that alleviates a lot of the difficulty with it.
That is fascinating. That's that's definitely been a challenge for me as a person. I don't know why, but I've always found it hard to be I've always found it hard to be happy and expressive as a person. Like I can like I had just kind of a rough upbringing, so for me like it's easy for me to like express anger kind of thing, but it's hard for me to express like joy and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like so like last year like my wife and I lost our first child a couple days before he was born.
Oh my gosh.
And I've had a hard time telling people this, but it was like the worst experience of my life and the most biggest blessing in my life I ever got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've never been able to, like when people hear that, they get conflicted. Like, well, how can it be the worst thing, but also the most like impactful for you? And it was because my son, when I got to hold him, he brought this sense of like peace and calm and love and joy to me that I've never felt before in my life. So I don't want to bring up such a heavy thing, but it was it reminded me of that I do have difficulty expressing a lot of those emotions about happy and
Like
joy.
his little soul was there with you, letting you know that it was okay. And
Yeah,
bringing you some peace in that moment.
yeah, it was my friend that's a pastor. I talked to him a couple months after it happened, and he said that's what's given me kind of a good perspective on this, and it's been helping me with this challenge, is that he said you got to touch and experience God's pure love that's not been tainted by the world and sin. You got to hold God's love in your hand, and that's something that brings a lot of joy and a lot of peace and a lot of comfort, and can lead you to that happy place. Because in our world we have here on planet Earth, it's very hard to find those things because we cloud it with so much societal influence and pressure, and the world's full of sin. You can't get away from it on planet Earth. So yeah, it was just interesting that you brought that up. That is a challenge I've had, and my son's not, even though he's not with me, like he gave me a light into what that can look like for me, and I've been very grateful for him. So
yeah.
I appreciate you saying that challenge. That's something I've definitely been struggling with quite a bit.
So you might need to purposely, and put it in your calendar, make yourself some little dates in your calendar where you on purpose go out to express your creativity and do something childlike and fun. Whether it's painting or creative or playing in the sand or blowing bubbles or
I like that.
yeah.
I need to be better about that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And give yourself that gift. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I need to be better about. Put some play in my life.
Yeah. Which brings me to your realization number, which is also a 3.
I've said since I was a kid, 3 is my lucky number. I have
Yeah.
always said that since I was a kid.
Yeah. And the realization number is who we're growing into through the events of our life. So as you mature, more and more of that playful, childlike, creative spirit is actually what you're supposed to be growing into.
Well, I like that you said that, because I talked to some lady in my 20s. She was about 60 something, and she said, if I have to share a secret with you, if you haven't grown up by 50, don't. She's like, she's like, growing old is when you die. Stay a kid. It's much more fun that way.
Yeah. Yep. So you have permission from the universe in your numerology chart to be a big kid.
I'm very happy about that. I will be sharing that with my wife.
Now you still have lots of 6 in there, so I mean you're still going to be a responsible kid, but have more fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't get too crazy. Just have fun.
Yeah. Oh. All right. We've been through a lot so far. So those are the 7 main numerology numbers that are a part of your life for your whole life, unless you decide to pursue a legal name change.
I'm gonna keep my name. Well, you said I don't need to change my name.
You don't need to change your name, no. Your name's pretty good. It all works together well.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice and balanced too. Some people who have a really short name have some difficulties where there's some of the numerology numbers from 1 to 9 where they won't have any letters that match up with some of them. And that can cause a lot of difficulties for people as they're navigating life. But you don't have that at all. You've got letters in your name that match with all of the numbers, which is very useful. That's one thing that if someone is consulting someone who does numerology for naming their baby, as one thing that we do is try to make sure that they've got at least one letter in their name that matches up with each number.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah. It just makes
Yeah,
it
I was,
easier.
you had me curious what my son's numerology would have looked like.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
So I've got
Did
all of
you?
their charts in like my notebooks. But it's so interesting, like knowing their chart and then watching them go through life and then watching things happen and then looking at their chart and be like, oh, yeah, it's so it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not or even know your chart. You're living it out. So
I
uh,
find it funny that, I mean, you brought up, were brought up in a Christian environment, and
yeah.
I personally, I went to church on Christmas and Easter. It was just my family deal.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife also grew up in a very religious household, and something that's I think is funny about what you just said though is like about living out the numerology.
Mm-hmm.
I I always wondered if that connects to how, in a sense, like our life has already been written out for us. I mean, if you're in a Christian religious side of things, like God's already got a plan for us. He's already outlined it.
Yeah.
And like I always wonder if like it's lining up with that in a sense that our path has already been written for us and we're just kind of
In
living it
some
out.
in some ways,
If
yes. But we still have free will. And which was actually interesting that you bring that up because I was going to talk about that next. And that is that we have free will in that we can choose whether we're going to line up with the highest and best and most possible good that can come out of the situation and the life we've been given, or we can dwell on the negativity and live in the side that's weaker, in the side that's more negative. Every number has its positive and negative aspects, and we can choose based on our thoughts, based on what we choose to focus on, how we choose to live, whether or not we're going to live out the highest potential that's in our chart or the more negative aspects.
that's what
Yeah.
I took away from
Yeah.
the numerology reading today. And it was I like that you confirmed a lot of things I'm going through currently or challenges I am facing. And it's almost I just I like that in this reading it was really phrased like these are the challenges you're going through or going to go through or going to be there for you, but you don't have to always live in those challenges. That's not it's not your final path, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not you have to live this path. It's
Yeah.
just to say that these are things you're going to come across and that's part of what's going to happen. But you can choose to grow through those things.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's I've like stumbled through it the last year, but doing this call today really just kind of it put that all in perspective for me. Like, yes, these are challenges you're having, they're going to be there. um
Mhm.
and just like I know that I've always known I have a lot of emotional growth I need to go through with haters and this and that.
Mhm.
um but just knowing that like that's not it's going to be part of my journey, but it's not going to be the thing that stops me. If anything, it's coinciding with the good that comes out of that. And so
Yeah.
I need to I've got work to do on that to focus more on the positives, even when the negative side seems a lot louder and a lot bigger.
Mhm.
To just shift my perspective. So I found that really helpful. So where I'm going with that.